What if I told you that your body has been whispering warnings for months, but you've been calling them just getting older? Today, I'm going to show you the 7 warning signs that could be your body's desperate attempt to tell you something serious. And if you're over 60, ignoring them could cost you far more than your comfort. Because aging isn't what puts most people at risk. It's missing the signals that aging reveals. And by the end of this message, you'll know exactly what to watch for, what to do, and why these signs should never be brushed aside. Hello friends, Dr. Martin here. If you're over 60, or you love someone who is, this message could be one of the most important health conversations you'll hear this year. Every day, thousands of older adults dismiss symptoms that seem harmless. A little fatigue, some dizziness, a change in appetite, occasional forgetfulness. They assume it's simply part of growing older. But here's the truth. Healthy aging and silent decline are not the same thing. Your body is incredibly intelligent. Long before a major health event occurs, it often sends subtle signals. The challenge is that these signals don't always arrive with flashing lights and alarms. They arrive quietly, gradually, easily overlooked. Today, we're going to uncover 7 warning signs that deserve your attention. These are signs that many people ignore until a small problem becomes a serious one. Let's begin. Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up after what should have been a full night's sleep only to feel as if you never rested at all? Maybe you found yourself sitting in your favorite chair in the middle of the afternoon, struggling to keep your eyes open. Perhaps simple tasks that once felt effortless now leave you drained, and you've started telling yourself, well, I guess that's just what happens when you get older. That's exactly where many people make a dangerous mistake. Growing older does bring changes to the body, but constant, unexplained fatigue is not something you should automatically accept as normal. Your body is designed to produce energy. While you may not have the same stamina you had at 30, you should still be able to enjoy your daily activities without feeling completely exhausted all the time. The problem is that persistent fatigue is often one of the earliest warning signs that something deeper may be happening beneath the surface. It's a symptom that can quietly develop over weeks or even months, making it easy to overlook. Because it arrives gradually, many people adjust their lives around it instead of asking why it's there. Think about how a car behaves when something isn't working properly. Long before the engine completely fails, warning lights begin to appear. The vehicle may not perform the way it used to. Fuel efficiency drops. Strange sounds emerge. Your body operates in a similar way. Fatigue can be one of those warning lights. Sometimes the heart is working harder than it should. When the heart struggles to pump blood efficiently, less oxygen reaches your muscles and organs. The result is a feeling of exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to fix. In other cases, low iron levels or anemia may prevent your blood from carrying enough oxygen throughout the body, leaving you weak and tired. Fatigue can also be linked to blood sugar problems. When glucose levels rise and fall unpredictably, your body's energy system becomes less efficient. You may notice periods of sluggishness, brain fog, or a lack of motivation that seems out of character. Even dehydration, which becomes more common with age, can quietly sap your energy and leave you feeling drained. What concerns me most is how often people ignore these signals. They push through the exhaustion. They cancel activities they enjoy. They become less active because they assume slowing down is inevitable. Over time, their world gets smaller, not because aging forced it to happen, but because an underlying health issue remained unaddressed. The key is to pay attention to changes. Ask yourself, is this fatigue new? Is it becoming more frequent? Is it interfering with activities I normally enjoy? If the answer is yes, don't dismiss it. Listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Sometimes the smallest warning sign can reveal the biggest opportunity to protect your health before a serious problem develops. Because exhaustion isn't always a sign of aging. It may be your body's cry for help. Now, Let's talk about something that many people experience but rarely discuss until it becomes impossible to ignore. I'm talking about those moments when the room seems to spin for a second, when you stand up and suddenly feel unsteady, or when you find yourself reaching for a wall, a countertop, or a piece of furniture just to regain your balance. Most people brush it off. They say, "I got up too fast," or "I'm just having an off day." And occasionally that may be true. But when dizziness or balance problems begin happening more often, your body may be sending an important message that deserves your attention. One of the greatest threats to health after the age of 60 isn't always a disease itself, it's a fall. A single fall can change everything. It can affect mobility, independence, confidence, and quality of life. Yet many falls don't happen out of nowhere. They are often preceded by weeks or months of subtle warning signs that people overlook. Balance is actually a remarkable process involving multiple systems working together. Your eyes help you understand your surroundings. Your inner ear provides information about movement and position. Your muscles and joints communicate with your brain about where your body is in space. When one of these systems begins to malfunction, your balance can be affected. That's why dizziness should never be dismissed as simply a nuisance. Sometimes it can be related to changes in blood pressure. If blood pressure drops suddenly when you stand, your brain may briefly receive less blood flow, causing lightheadedness or instability. In other cases, irregular heart rhythms may reduce circulation, leading to episodes of dizziness that seem to come and go without warning. There are also situations where balance problems may point to issues within the inner ear, which plays a critical role in helping you stay upright. Even mild disturbances in this system can leave you feeling as though the ground beneath you isn't as stable as it should be. What worries me is that many older adults begin adjusting their lives around these symptoms rather than addressing them. They stop taking walks, they avoid stairs, they become hesitant to leave the house alone. Little by little, their confidence shrinks. They aren't just losing balance, they're losing freedom. And then there's another concern. Sudden dizziness, difficulty walking, or a loss of coordination can sometimes signal a more serious medical event. These symptoms should never be ignored, especially if they appear unexpectedly or are accompanied by weakness, numbness, vision changes, or trouble speaking. Your body is constantly communicating with you. It doesn't send warnings because it wants to frighten you. It sends warnings because it wants to protect you. The challenge is learning to listen before a minor symptom becomes a major setback. If you've noticed yourself feeling unsteady more often, don't assume it's simply a normal part of getting older. Pay attention, ask questions, seek answers. Because maintaining your balance isn't just about preventing falls. It's about preserving the independence and confidence that allow you to keep living life on your own terms. Sometimes the difference between a small stumble and a life-changing fall is recognizing the warning before it's too late. As we continue, I want to talk about a sign that often catches people by surprise, because at first glance, it may not seem like a problem at all. In fact, some people even celebrate it. They step on the scale, notice a few pounds have disappeared, and think, well, that's not bad. But after the age of 60, losing weight without trying is something that deserves careful attention. Let me be clear. There's a big difference between intentional weight loss and unintentional weight loss. If you've changed your eating habits, increased your activity level, or followed a plan recommended by your doctor, then weight loss may be expected. But if the pounds are coming off without any effort on your part, your body may be trying to tell you something important. The truth is that maintaining a healthy weight becomes increasingly important as we age. Our muscles naturally become smaller over time if we don't actively preserve them. When unexpected weight loss occurs, it often includes the loss of valuable muscle mass. That loss can affect strength, balance, mobility, and overall health. What may seem like a small change on the scale can have a significant impact on daily life. Many people don't notice the change right away. It happens gradually. Clothes begin fitting a little differently. A belt needs to be tightened another notch. Family members start commenting that you look thinner. Because the process is often slow, it can be easy to dismiss. Sometimes the reason is simple. Certain medications can affect appetite. Changes in taste and smell, which become more common with age, can make food less appealing. Dental issues may make eating uncomfortable, but there are times when the explanation is more serious. Unexplained weight loss can be associated with digestive problems that interfere with the body's ability to absorb nutrients properly. It can be linked to thyroid conditions that cause the body to burn energy at an unusually rapid rate. Chronic infections, inflammatory conditions, and other underlying health concerns can also contribute to gradual weight loss. Another warning sign that often accompanies this issue is a noticeable decrease in appetite. Maybe meals that once brought enjoyment now feel like a chore. Perhaps you find yourself skipping breakfast, eating only small portions, or forgetting to eat altogether. While occasional changes in appetite happen to everyone, a persistent lack of interest in food should never be ignored. Food is more than fuel. It provides the nutrients your body needs to maintain muscle, support your immune system, protect your bones, and keep your organs functioning properly. When appetite decreases for an extended period, the effects can ripple throughout the entire body. Energy levels drop, recovery from illness slows, weakness becomes more noticeable. Everyday tasks begin to require greater effort. What concerns me most is that many people assume weight loss is automatically a sign of better health. But after 60, the question isn't simply whether weight is changing. The question is why it's changing. Your body rarely makes significant changes without a reason. That's why it's important to pay attention to patterns, monitor your weight regularly, and take note of any persistent loss of appetite. The earlier a problem is identified, the more options there are to address it effectively. A shrinking appetite and unexplained weight loss may seem small at first, but they can be the first clues to a much larger story your body is trying to tell. Now let's talk about something that touches nearly every family at some point, and something that many people quietly worry about as they grow older. It starts with small moments. You walk into a room and forget why you went there. You misplace your keys. You struggle to remember a name that you know you should know. When these things happen, it's natural to wonder, is this just normal aging, or is it something more? The first thing I want you to understand is that occasional forgetfulness happens to everyone. It happens to people in their 20s, 40s, and 70s. The brain is constantly processing enormous amounts of information, and sometimes details slip through the cracks. Forgetting where you placed your glasses for a few minutes is not necessarily a cause for alarm. The concern begins when memory changes become more frequent, more noticeable, and start interfering with daily life. One of the challenges is that cognitive decline often develops gradually. It doesn't arrive overnight. Instead, it can begin with subtle shifts that are easy to explain away. You may find yourself asking the same question multiple times because you don't remember receiving the answer. You may struggle to follow conversations that once felt effortless. Managing finances, keeping track of appointments, or following familiar routines may suddenly require more concentration than before. These changes can be frustrating, and for some people, even frightening. That's why many choose not to talk about them. They hope the problem will simply go away. They tell themselves they're tired, stressed, or distracted. Sometimes that's true. But when memory difficulties continue to increase, it's important to pay attention. Your brain, like every other part of your body, experiences changes with age. However, healthy aging and significant cognitive decline are not the same thing. Normal aging may slow down the speed at which you recall information. You might need a little more time to remember a name or learn a new skill. But when memory problems begin affecting independence, relationships, or everyday functioning, they deserve evaluation. What's encouraging is that not every memory issue points to a serious neurological condition. Sometimes poor sleep is the culprit. Sometimes medication side effects, vitamin deficiencies, dehydration, depression, or unmanaged medical conditions can affect memory and concentration. In many cases, addressing the underlying issue can lead to meaningful improvement. This is one reason why paying attention early matters so much. The sooner changes are recognized, the sooner steps can be taken to understand what's causing them. Waiting and hoping symptoms disappear often allows problems to progress unnecessarily. I also want to emphasize something important. Keeping the brain healthy is not just about avoiding disease. It's about staying engaged with life. The brain thrives on activity, meaningful conversations, learning new things, reading, solving problems, staying physically active, and maintaining social connections all help support cognitive health. The more we challenge and nourish the brain, the more resilient it tends to remain. What often makes the difference is not whether a person experiences a memory lapse, it's whether they notice a pattern of change and choose to take it seriously. Because when your memory begins changing in ways that affect your daily life, your brain may be asking for attention long before it begins demanding it. As we move forward, I want to discuss a warning sign that many people mistakenly blame on getting older, being out of shape, or simply having a busy day. It's something that can creep into your life so gradually that you hardly notice it at first. I'm talking about shortness of breath during everyday activities. Think about the things you do regularly. Walking to the mailbox, carrying groceries into the house, climbing a flight of stairs, taking a stroll around the neighborhood. These are activities that most people perform without giving much thought to their breathing. But what happens when those same tasks suddenly leave you winded? At first, the change may seem minor. Maybe you notice that you're breathing a little harder after climbing stairs. Perhaps you find yourself stopping to catch your breath during a walk that never used to challenge you. You tell yourself you're just tired, or maybe you haven't been exercising enough lately. But when shortness of breath becomes a pattern, it's important to pay attention. Your body depends on a constant supply of oxygen. Every cell, every organ, and every muscle requires it to function properly. The heart and lungs work together as an extraordinary team to deliver that oxygen where it's needed. When either of these systems begins struggling, breathing often becomes one of the first clues. Sometimes the heart is no longer pumping blood as efficiently as it once did. When this happens, the body must work harder to meet its oxygen demands, especially during physical activity. What once felt easy suddenly feels exhausting. A simple walk may feel like a much greater challenge than it should. In other cases, the lungs themselves may be affected. Conditions that reduce lung capacity or limit airflow can gradually make breathing more difficult. The change may be so subtle that people adapt without realizing it. They start avoiding activities that make them breathless. They walk shorter distances. They take elevators instead of stairs. Little by little, their world becomes smaller. That's one of the reasons this symptom can be so deceptive. Many people don't notice how much they've adjusted their lifestyle to accommodate it. They think they're slowing down because of age, when in reality they're compensating for a health issue that deserves attention. I also want to stress that breathing difficulties should never be ignored when they appear suddenly or become severe. If shortness of breath occurs unexpectedly, especially when accompanied by chest discomfort, dizziness, unusual sweating, or weakness, immediate medical evaluation is essential. These symptoms can sometimes signal a serious medical emergency. Even when the symptoms are mild, they shouldn't be dismissed. The earlier a problem is identified, the more opportunities there may be to manage it effectively and protect long-term health. One of the greatest gifts we often take for granted is the ability to move freely without thinking about every breath. When that changes, it's worth asking why. Your body doesn't usually make these adjustments without a reason. If everyday activities are leaving you more breathless than they once did, don't simply assume it's part of getting older. Listen carefully to what your body is telling you, because when breathing becomes harder than it should be, your heart and lungs may be revealing a problem long before it becomes impossible to ignore. My friends, we've covered 6 warning signs that should never be ignored after the age of 60. Persistent fatigue, balance problems, unexplained weight loss, concerning memory changes, shortness of breath, and disrupted sleep may seem unrelated on the surface, but they all share one important truth. Your body is trying to communicate with you. The goal of today's message isn't to create fear, it's to create awareness. The earlier you recognize these signals, the greater your opportunity to protect your health, maintain your independence, and continue enjoying the life you've worked so hard to build. Remember, healthy aging isn't about pretending nothing changes. It's about understanding which changes deserve attention and taking action before small concerns become major challenges. Listen to your body, respect its warnings, and never assume that a serious symptom is just part of getting older. Because the people who age best aren't always the ones who avoid problems, they're the ones who recognize the signs early enough to do something about them. Take care of your health today so your future self can thank you tomorrow.